Hey, everybody. Well, this is Flicker Effect. No particular episode number. It's just me going solo. And I figured since we weren't doing a regular show this week, I'd try and update you guys on some stuff that I saw. So when we get back to a regular show, which might be not next week is 4th of July weekend. So I don't think we're recording. So it'd probably be the week after that, but I didn't want to have a whole bunch of stuff to try and unload onto the show, considering everyone else might have some things that they've watched. So I wanted to see if maybe I could just do it myself. And of course, without David here, you're not going to see the flashy effects, the theme music, or any of the other stuff that's there. But at least you'll get something to kind of tide you over. Hopefully, hopefully you like it. I don't know. You probably be like, "What? It's just Bobby. I'm gonna skip this video." So, we'll see. Maybe no one likes it or wants it, but at least it's there, and I won't have to worry about trying to play catch up when we do record again. So, yeah, I guess I'll say one thing that I didn't get a chance to watch this weekend, unfortunately, is Fast Nine. I I had every intention of trying to go see it this weekend, but just other things got in the way and I couldn't see it when I wanted to. I'm still kind of debating on seeing it tonight, and as I record this, it's 8 o'clock on the West Coast, Sunday. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's going to probably be a late showing, and I don't know if I can make it out of that showing at a decent hour and then still have to wake up to go to work. So I don't know. We'll see. But I do feel like if we do record next week, or maybe if I do this again, if people want to see something, maybe I would have something by then to talk about for Fast Nine. Even though there's I think a couple other movies coming out next week, or at least one other movie coming out next week. But in the meantime, I did see a few things. One of the things I had a chance to watch is this new show that's it just premiered maybe a couple weeks ago, I want to say, and it's currently on AMC Plus. Or if you don't have AMC Plus, you can also watch this show on regular AMC. However, it's a little bit behind the schedule of the AMC Plus. I think you can watch new episodes on AMC Plus first, and then maybe a week later or something like that, they premiere on AMC. And the show I'm talking about is Kevin Can F Himself. I don't know if any of you out there have heard of this show, but it's so unique and so different with what they're doing there. The show stars Annie Murphy, and I'm not familiar with her, but I understand that she's on Schitt's Creek. But in this, Annie Murphy is playing a character by the name of Allison McRoberts. And the premise of the show is like the Kevin in the title is her husband. And what the way the show is framed as is it's sort of like a sitcom. And from what I understand, this sitcom was kind of modeled after the Kevin James show that came out a few years ago. Um, what was it? Kevin Can Wait or something? I forget what it was called, but it was on CBS. And on the show, he had this in the first season. He had a wife who they end up killing off in the second season, and they end up, I think, bringing in Leah Remini to replace her, not as the wife, but just as a friend of the character, and they had chemistry from their other show that they did before, so they kind of did that. And this show is kind of like a riff on that whole thing that happened. And what it does is it takes the character that Annie is playing, Allison, and puts her as the character of the Kevin James show husband, puts her as that wife. And what they do is they show her initially whenever she's around Kevin, it's almost like a three camera setup. It looks very much like a CBS show. You've got the laugh track in there and everything else that's going on with the the sort of corny comedy that's there in those type of shows. But then what happens, which is very unique and makes it very stylistic, is that anytime Kevin's not there and the wife is on her own, it changes. The look of the look of the show changes. The character changes. It's not the yuck jokes. It's like it's almost more like a I can't really think of anything in particular from the top of my mind other than like maybe like a more dramatic one camera style show, maybe like Breaking Bad or something that's kind of like that sort of look to it in a more realistic way. It just doesn't have that sheen and nice shininess to it that a sitcom has, and it changes that framing. And then you get to see how the character acts when she's on her own, which is completely different. It's outside of a sitcom. It's more sort of realistic, but how she really feels about the situations she's in when she's not around her husband. And it's so different and unique. I've only seen the first episode. Right now, 3 episodes are available on AMC if you have that. 4 episodes are available on AMC Plus. But what I really like about it is it's just a different concept for a show. It's doing something completely unique in the way that it's telling this story. And you can understand even by the title, she's not happy in her situation. Even though when you see the sitcom versions of it, she's playing that part of like the dutiful wife and being able to kind of support her husband. But when she's away from that, you really get a sense of what she's really feeling. And it's just so unique that I really think that more people should check it out, because I haven't really heard anyone talking about it just yet. And it's still brand new. Like I said, it's only 3 episodes available on AMC right now. So it's still fairly new, but I just figured I'd throw it out there, make people aware of it, because it is such a unique concept. And it'd be interesting to see what more people think as they get to see it. So let's see, what else have I been watching? I've got my web browser up here and tabs going. So let me see what else. One of my favorite shows from, I think I talked about it before. Not, in fact, I know I talked about it maybe last show or the show before last, in that I mistakenly thought it was on season 3 just because it feels like it's been that long since the show has been on and not aired this new season. But it's actually season 2, and the show I'm talking about is Evil. So as I mentioned a week or two ago, that the show had been on CBS and got canceled from CBS, but then picked up by Paramount Plus. And right now that's where you see new episodes, which drop on Sunday nights. And I have not seen the second episode of season 2 just yet as I'm recording this, but I'm looking forward to it. The season opener last week picks up where season 1 left off, in a pretty precarious situation for the one of the main characters. And second season just pulled me right back into it. It just feels like it's such a creepy show, because it's dealing with like a character who it's never really at this point shown for sure, but it seems like one character is talking to the devil or some entity. But the show, as it's conceived, the Mike Coulter character is a priest in training, so he believes in possessions and demonic things, whereas the other 2 characters that are on the show are more skeptics and sort of like a X-Files kind of thing. So they're always trying to disprove these things and bring it to a point of, okay, this is what really happened. And as you get into this second season, there's more threads from what the first season left of, make you wonder, is there something really sinister here going on that isn't able to be explained? Or is it something that's just not explained yet? And it gets further into that, and it's just such a compelling show. I really love, it's one of my shows that, between this, Superman and Lois, are shows that I look forward to every week, and whenever they drop, I watch them right away. obviously tonight. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but I definitely will because it's one of my shows that I'm excited about watching. But now that season 2 has started, if you haven't had a chance to watch it, I would suggest it if you have Paramount Plus. Unfortunately, I don't know if it's playing anywhere else now that it's not on CBS, because I know that first season at least was on Netflix and it gained a lot of new viewers by being on Netflix. I don't know if that first season is still available there, but I would suggest at least checking there if you are interested in the show, and then maybe jumping onto Paramount Plus to check the second season out, or maybe wait until the second season done and then do a free pass or a free trial to check it out, because it's such a good show. I really enjoy it. A couple of Netflix movies I watched. One was a movie that I didn't know going into it how I'd feel about it, and it's Fatherhood with Kevin Hart, starring Kevin Hart. Alfre Woodard is in it, DeWanda Wise, Laurel Howery, and Paul Reiser. And what I didn't know about it was that with Kevin Hart, I'd say I mostly like his stuff, but there's times when I feel like it's a little too over the top or too much Kevin Hart in a sense that can pull me out of some of the stuff that he's in. So I really didn't know how I'd feel about this one going into it. And this one is more of a, I would say, dramedy for sure, because it takes elements of Kevin and making him more of the type of actor where it's not something where it's like a joke every other sentence or something slapstick or anything like that. It's more on a grounded level, and the comedy is more organic in that sense, where it's a joke about the situation that he finds himself in, and more along the lines of it working on that level as opposed to feeling kind of forced or making a joke because a joke has to be here. And the loose premise of the movie is that Kevin finds himself in his wife, where they are going to have a kid, and unfortunately she doesn't make it past the birth. And so now he, as an adult who has that mentality of still not being a grown up, has to kind of figure out how to navigate that as a new father and doing this alone. And Alfre Woodard plays his stepmom, and she sees Kevin's character as someone that is a good guy, but maybe not a father. And so she wants to try and take this responsibility from him because she doesn't believe that he can do it. And he has this sense of having to prove himself. And in doing so, he has to question whether or not he's doing it just to try and prove everyone wrong, or if he really is the type of person that can be a good father. And I think I found that really interesting as a story, and I thought it was well done by Kevin in terms of the drama that gets pulled out of him in certain scenes and scenarios where it really felt like it was natural, and that he wasn't trying too hard or anything in trying to portray something dramatic. Because sometimes it's hard with comedians where they do some a dramatic turn, and you kind of feel like you're waiting for the joke, or you can't take them seriously. And I never really felt that in watching this movie. I really felt like he was sincere in the aspects of when he's going through different things, and the frustration he's feeling and all the emotions that come with that. I really felt like he did a good job in this, and I would like to see, after seeing this, I would like to see him do some more dramatic roles. I think he really did a good job with this, and it was funny when it needed to be, and the other aspects of it I think really worked. So if you haven't had a chance to see it, I would suggest that one, especially if you are a Kevin Hart fan. Then you would definitely want to check it out, and it's on Netflix. Another one that I got to see which actually just came out on Friday, was the latest Liam Neeson movie where he's finds himself in an impossible situation and has to figure out how to navigate this impossible situation to a positive outcome. And the movie is The Ice Road. And I don't know if this movie was specifically made for Netflix or if it was supposed to be in a theater at one point in time and then just got shifted off to Netflix, or Netflix paid for it or whatever. But um, it didn't necessarily have a look of a Netflix movie, if that makes sense. It didn't feel like it was, for the most part, it didn't feel like they cheaped out on the budget. And it, to be fair, this kind of movie, I don't think required a high budget. It's not a super big special effects type of extravaganza of a movie. But Liam has been doing a lot of movies lately. I'd say within the past 2-3 years that haven't really felt like the kind of quality of stuff that he was doing early on when he was doing the Taken type stuff, and now some of these feel like they're more just sort of phoned in, and it's just like insert Liam Neeson in situation A and expect outcome B kind of thing. And I would say this follows along those same lines. The plot is that the there's a group of workers uh, working in a sort of a northern facility where they're in an ice encaved area, and as they're working, something explodes and they become trapped in a cavern, essentially at this point, where now they're cut off and they need to be saved from people, or saved from people. They need to be saved, and so in order to get to this particular area, you have to cross an area that's covered in ice. But at this point in time of the year, this road is usually shut off because the weather isn't as kind to that ice being able to be held up. And so now, in order to be able to get these workers out of this area, they have to use something to cap off this structure and let out the excess so that they can kind of blow out that area and then or seal it off and then be able to get to the people that are there. So what happened? I say what happens. Not that I'm going to spoil it or anything, but um, what ends up happening as far as how Liam Neeson gets involved is that he is someone who has had experience in driving big trailer trucks, and so he's called upon along with a few other people to try and take these structures that can help cap off this central area to be able to help these workers. And as you can imagine, chaos would ensue as you try and take these big trucks over ice. And uh, it's nothing, I would say. This would probably fall in the middle pack of Liam Neeson action type movies, I would say. It's not terrible, but it's also nothing on the upper levels of the Takens or maybe even the Gray or something like that. It's fine. It's like, it's on Netflix, and it's one of those movies where I feel like it's not a terrible waste of time or anything, but if it feels like a dad movie in a way. That's, I shouldn't say it with a negative connotation, but this one feels like one of those ones that for sure it seems like it's for an older crowd, where it's kind of just like something you would throw on and then kind of be doing stuff as you're watching it, but not really fully paying attention to it. So yeah, your mileage may vary on it. I found myself into it, and when I finished watching it, I was like, all right, it was okay. It wasn't a waste of time. I was fine with it, but don't go in expecting anything particularly great from it. It's just it's a fine, okay movie. And that's kind of what he's been putting out lately with these types of movies. So it's kind of another one on that level for him. But that was it pretty much, honestly, that I had a chance to watch. I know that kind of sounds like a, a, a lot, or maybe it sounds like a little, but normally I get to space it out with everyone else talking about stuff they watch. So with me kind of just here talking about it all at once, it sounds like it went pretty quick, at least for me. So I'm still watching things, and like I said, next time hopefully I will have seen Fast 9 and a couple other movies that I have on my list. So we'll see how that goes, but I guess that's all I have for you guys this week, and hopefully you're having a good weekend, and I'll talk to you soon.